Hello guys, welcome back to our anime moment. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal episode number 639 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin softly said, "Teacher, if we did everything again, disciple would still choose to follow teacher to the immortal astral continent without any hesitation." The sorrow in Xian Luo's eyes became even stronger. He understood Wang Lin. Teacher's kindness is as heavy as a mountain, and disciple would never forget it. Wang Lin sighed and stood up. He patted his clothes. As he swept away the dust, it was as if he had swept away his feelings and his previous tolerance. In order to not disappoint his teacher, he could kneel, give out treasures, endure not killing the ancient Tao Emperor. He could do anything. He just wanted to take Wan as soul and not make his teacher suffer too much sorrow. He wanted to find a balance because he didn't want the people who had been kind to him to feel pain. He didn't want to hurt his teacher. However, this thought was only a luxury, an unrealistic dream. He had endured again and again, but now he could not endure any more. Since this was the case, there was no longer any need to endure. Before the gazes of everyone present, Wang Lin laughed loudly at the sky until tears flowed down. The tears were bitter and contained his thousands of years of determination and unyielding nature. They contained Wang Lin's dedication to his own conscience and those who had shown him kindness. His laughter became louder and louder as if he had gone crazy. When this laugh entered Xian Luo's ears, it was as if a giant pair of hands had grabbed his head and pulled it out. At this moment, he felt as if something was missing from his body. This caused him to become pale as he looked at Wang Lin, and his eyes looked even older. I, Wang Lin, since I began cultivating in my childhood, have gone through countless slaughter and experienced the coldness of the world. Most people I met were devious and sinister. Am I destined to be a lone star? My wife died, my son is trapped in reincarnation, Sichu's whereabouts are unknown, Qing Shui is also lost. Everyone who has shown me kindness suffered in the end. I care a lot about the kindness others have shown me because that is rare and should be cherished. I care a lot about love because love allows me to persist. Tears flowed down from Wang Lin's eyes as he laughed and talked to himself. Wang Lin's laughter also entered the ancient Tao Emperor's ears. This laughter was extremely harsh for him to hear and his heart trembled. Without hesitation, he pointed at Wang Lin and roared, "Kill him!" In the ancient clan, where the imperial power reigned supreme, and at the palace of the ancient Tao, the emperor's command should be carried out immediately. But right now, aside from the 1,000 people near the palace, the other tens of thousands of people around, including the people Wang Lin had revived, all remained silent. They had witnessed everything that had happened, saw the cause and effect, saw Xian Luo's sorrow, and they saw Wang Lin's plea. After seeing all this, they could not lift their feet to take that step. This was the choice between the imperial power and their conscience, and a majority of the people hesitated. However, there were still thousands of people who had been indoctrinated by the imperial power and let out a roar as they charged at Wang Lin. "Teacher!" Wang Lin suddenly turned around and completely ignored everyone charging at him. He looked at Xian Luo with a decisive gaze. "Please let disciple call you teacher one last time. Disciple can't repay the kindness you have shown me. The only way for me to repay you is to die once, and then I, Wang Lin, will no longer have any connection with the ancient Tao. From now on, everything that I, Wang Lin, do will not have any relation with teacher. Everything I do, I'll take responsibility for." Wang Lin suddenly raised his right hand as the thousands of people closed in and Xian Luo was about to wave his sleeve. Wang Lin looked at Xian Luo and his right hand mercilessly smashed down on his own head. This blow contained his love for Xian Luo. This blow contained the eruption of Wang Lin's uncontainable rage. Time seemed to slow down. Wang Lin's right hand smashed into his head and his skull cracked. The destructive aura destroyed his head, his body, his everything. During this destruction, Wang Lin seemed to see the moment Xian Luo first appeared in the cave world. He seemed to return to his hometown and saw the past. Everything instantly stopped at the moment Wang Lin charged out of the ancient Tao temple in rage. Everyone looked in disbelief as Wang Lin's body exploded into flesh and blood. He had self-destructed right before Xian Luo arrived. Xian Luo looked at the figure that had turned into a mess of flesh and blood and shed tears of blood. Dead. The ancient Tao Emperor was startled and there was a flash of gloominess in his face. The other ancient Tao members that were going to charge up also stopped and looked over with suspicion. Just at this instant, a strange scene unfolded. The explosion of flesh and blood from when Wang Lin's body exploded quickly gathered. In the blink of an eye, a new Wang Lin was formed. He coughed out a mouthful of blood and his face was extremely pale. Today, he had used his extremely precious 3-life spell once. He had already died once. After resurrecting, he was no longer Xian Luo's disciple and he no longer had any connection with the ancient Tao. He no longer had to consider anyone's position and no longer had to suppress himself again and again. He was doing what he wanted and take away Wan, who belonged to him. Yi Dao. Wang Lin let out a heaven-shattering roar at the sky. This roar was the eruption of all the anger he had suppressed. This was a roar from the depths of his soul. At this moment, monstrous killing intent erupted from Wang Lin's body without any reservation. This killing intent caused the world to change as if he had just walked out from the underworld. He rushed forward with ferocity, madness, and killing intent. The expression of the ancient Tao Emperor changed and he retreated a few steps before he roared, "Kill him!" The nearly 1,000 people before the palace and the thousands of people that had charged out all charged at Wang Lin. Even if it was merely using their bodies as shields, they had to defend the imperial power. It was unknown if this was their glory or sorrow. Anyone who blocks me again will really die this time. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he stepped forward and threw a punch. The dozens of people before him all let out miserable screams as they exploded, but the ancient Tao members behind them all rushed ahead. Wang Lin stepped on the blood beneath him as he walked forward. He wasn't fast, but every step covered hundreds of feet. Rivers of blood flowed as he slaughtered his way forward. Howls echoed as the 36 fiends turned into 36 rays of light and charged at Wang Lin like 36 dragons. However, Wang Lin didn't even look at them as they closed in. He raised his right hand and green smoke appeared at the tip of his finger and spread out. It was the extreme fire Tao. The smoke instantly touched the 36 dragons, then thunderous rumbles and miserable screams echoed. The 36 dragons turned into balls of fire and were burned alive. Wang Lin's left hand reached to the side. One of the 18 kings had stepped out to sneak attack him, but the first thing he saw was Wang Lin's palm. His expression changed greatly and he wanted to retreat, but the hand grabbed his face. Wang Lin squeezed and the king's vision went black, feeling intense pain, then his head exploded. Xian Luo stood there and watched Wang Lin slaughter his way to the palace, but he didn't stop him. He was already disappointed at the ancient Tao's imperial power. He looked at Wang Lin's mad back and recalled his disciple's self-destruction. As he watched, tears flowed down from Xian Luo's eyes. He knew that the reason Wang Lin had self-destructed once was because he was going to slaughter without reservation. He knew that Wang Lin didn't want to affect him and had to cut their teacher-student relationship. The way to cut off that relationship was to die once. Using this method, his disciple was telling the entire ancient Tao, the entire ancient clan, and even Grand Empyrean Gu Dao that he would take responsibility for everything here today. Wang Lin didn't want Xian Luo to become a sinner of the ancient Tao, to become the first Grand Empyrean to kill an ancient emperor. Even now, his disciple was still thinking about him. Such a disciple made Xian Luo feel a deep sense of guilt. What have I done for him? In fact, not much. Xian Luo looked at the slaughter and at the deaths of his ancient Tao clan members. For the first time, he didn't feel sadness for his clan. Wang Lin let out a roar and the slaughter aura around him spread out. It turned into a ray of red light that shot out and opened a bloody path before him. At the same time, he pointed at the sky. The entire palace turned into a dark sea, and at the end of the sea, a sun began to rise. Wang Lin was using his faith spell, Sundered Night, at the palace without hesitation. The sun rose and endless light shined. A mutter echoed as miserable screams echoed and bodies exploded into blood mist. It was unknown how many people had died. After the illusion of the sea dissipated, most of the 1,000 cultivators before the palace had died. The rest was swept away, and Wang Lin stood before the palace. He walked into the palace with crazed killing intent coming from his body, and he covered the sky behind him as he entered the palace. Outside the temple, the blood path leading to the palace was covered in the remains of nearly 1,000 people. The people looked at the palace with fear. When Wang Lin stepped into the palace, the ancient Tao Emperor's face turned pale. He subconsciously retreated a few steps and stared at Wang Lin. Wang Lin, if I die, this woman will die. Do you dare to kill me? I have the protection of Grand Empyrean Gu Dao. No one in this world can kill the ancient emperors. Wang Lin ignored the ancient Tao Emperor and also ignored the equally gloomy father of the emperor. He only looked at Song Shi. Looking at this woman that gave him a familiar feeling that made his madness soften. He walked toward the aura he had been chasing for thousands of years. But just at this moment, shadows appeared before Wang Lin. They were like smoke and they charged at Wang Lin. Wang Lin seemed to turn a blind eye to them. In his eyes, only Song Shi existed. As he walked forward, popping sounds echoed and the figures inside those shadows were forced out of hiding. The figures coughed out blood and cracks spread across their bodies before they disintegrated. In the blink of an eye, dozens of those figures appeared before Wang Lin, but none of them could survive. Wang Lin stood before the confused Song Shi. The woman looked up at Wang Lin and opened her mouth to say something, but she forgot her words. She looked at Wang Lin's unfamiliar face with a hint of familiarity. Her eyes began to struggle as her memories tried to awaken. Who is he? Who is she? Who am I? If I am her, then who is Aunt Chang and Sister Dong? The woman looked like she was in pain as she held her head and trembled. Wang Lin's heart ached as his right hand raised and pointed behind him. A miserable scream suddenly echoed. A shadow wanted to take advantage of this moment to attack, but before the shadow even revealed itself, Wang Lin's finger pierced the shadow's skull and he died. Wang Lin looked at the woman before him and softly said, "Don't be afraid. I don't know who Aunt Chang and Sister Dong are, but I know you are Li Muwen. You are my wife that I have searched thousands of years for." When the woman heard Li Muwen, she felt a painful whisper and it felt as if a mirror had shattered in her mind. This name had a strange power, and she felt a sense of familiarity in her soul, as if this was her real name. Li Muwen. Li Muwen. Song Shi. Who am I exactly? Due to the intense pain from her head, tears started flowing down her cheeks. The ancient Tao Emperor revealed a vicious gaze, and just as he was about to move, he heard Wang Lin's cold snort. This cold snort was like a bolt of thunder that caused the ancient Tao Emperor to let out a miserable cry. Blood flowed out from his orifices and he retreated a few steps. Wang Lin quickly raised his right hand and pointed to between the woman's eyebrows. Then a trace of the drop of soul blood inside Wang Lin went into the woman through Wang Lin's finger. The moment the trace of soul blood entered her, she began to tremble. A fine line that didn't seem to belong to this world appeared on her forehead. It was connected to the ancient Tao Emperor behind her. Without hesitation, Wang Lin raised his left hand and slashed at the fine line. With this slash, the line was cut in half. The moment this line was cut, the ancient Tao Emperor coughed out a mouthful of blood. He looked miserable and his eyes were filled with horror and disbelief. Impossible. This purple print ancestral soul lock can't be cut like this. This is the secret spell of the imperial families, only Grand Empyrean Gu Dao can lift it. The ancient Tao Emperor squealed but didn't dare to get close to Wang Lin and continued to retreat. Wang Lin paid no attention to the ancient Tao Emperor, he only looked at the woman in pain. He gently stroked her hair. "Don't be afraid. I'll take you to kill," Wang Lin softly said what he had said thousands of years ago. When the woman heard this, her trembling suddenly stopped and the struggle in her eyes became several times more violent than before. It was even more intense then when she heard Li Muwen. It was as if this line was more important than her own name. It was as if this was the beginning of her thousands of years of love. A thunderous rumble echoed in her mind. This line continued to echo in her mind and swirl in her vague memory. She once had a dream and heard that line. That voice had continued to exist in her mind and she had tried to find that voice, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't remember it or find it. Until she heard Wang Lin mutter, "Wan," at the banquet, which made her heart tremble and feel a strong sense of familiarity, but she still can't remember. Even when Li Muwen was said, she only trembled but couldn't remember. However, after hearing, "I'll take you to kill," these words suddenly overlapped with the words from her dream. She faintly remembered that the voice from the dream came from the person before her. She remembered the Sea of Devils, where she stood before the cave with a pale face but firmly guarded the cave. She remembered that there was a person sitting behind her refining the power of the pills, about to form his core. She also remembered that when she was exhausted and could no longer stop the devil cultivators from breaking into the cave, as their laughter echoed, she fell into a warm chest. Then she heard a cold voice, but it also made her feel a strange sense of warmth for the first time. "Don't be afraid. I'll take you to kill." Her body trembled and tears flowed down from her eyes. A majority of the confusion in her eyes disappeared. She looked at Wang Lin, the face that became more and more familiar. "Wang Lin," the woman's voice was hoarse, as if she hadn't spoken in a long time. However, what she said caused Wang Lin's mind to rumble as if millions of bolts of thunder had exploded. Wang Lin became excited and laughed at the sky as he hugged the woman. He turned to look at the ancient Tao Emperor and his father, who were panicking. However, unlike his father, the ancient Tao Emperor still had a hint of calmness. When Wang Lin looked over, the ancient Tao Emperor clearly saw Wang Lin's killing intent and his heart dropped. "I'm the ancient Tao Emperor. I have the protection of Grand Empyrean Gu Dao. You can't kill me." The ancient Tao Emperor retreated again. Wang Lin's eyes lit up. He wanted to kill this person, and his hatred was bone deep. He hugged Li Muwen as he charged at the ancient Tao Emperor. Wang Lin instantly closed in, and his eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. He raised his right hand and smashed down on the ancient Tao Emperor. "Grand Empyrean Gu Dao, save me!" The ancient Tao Emperor screamed. But just as Wang Lin's palm fell, a thunderous rumble echoed. A flash of purple light appeared around the ancient Tao Emperor and knocked Wang Lin's palm away. When the ancient Tao Emperor saw the purple light, he immediately began to laugh. The panic in his eyes disappeared and turned into calmness. He stared at Wang Lin ferociously. "I'm the ancient Tao Emperor. I'm the descendant of the ancient ancestor. How can you kill me? In this world, no one can kill me." The ancient Tao Emperor waved his sleeve and roared at the people outside the palace. "All ancient Tao members, kill this person. Anyone who defies this order will be considered a traitor." As his words echoed, the tens of thousands of ancient Tao members around the square and even the thousands of ancient Tao members that had arrived all heard it. They looked toward the palace and rushed over like a large, black cloud. There was a flash of killing intent in Wang Lin's eyes and he raised his hand again to smash down at the ancient Tao Emperor. The purple light flashed again and resisted Wang Lin's attack. As a result, the ancient Tao Emperor laughed even more arrogantly. He didn't even dodge and fiercely looked at Wang Lin. "What right do you have to kill me? Wang Lin, you are only an ant of the cave world. Now that 100,000 of my ancient Tao clan members are coming, I want to see how you will leave. You are going to die, and once you die, I'll play with this woman and let her accompany you in death." The ancient Tao Emperor laughed. "I can't kill you." Wang Lin's hair moved without any wind and his Grand Empyrean sun appeared behind him. It gave off black and white light at the same time, and the soul blood inside him moved rapidly. At this moment, the wind song appeared from Wang Lin's body. Thunderous rumbles echoed. It was the thunder song. The clouds also churned with the wind and thunder, creating the wind flute. The rain also fell, creating the rain song. Then the sky and earth songs also appeared and then, from Wang Lin's body, the seventh song appeared. The eighth song was the song of the internal organs, and it could not be described by words as it echoed through the ancient Tao Palace. "In this world, there is another person beside Grand Empyrean Gu Dao who can kill you. That's the ancient ancestor," Wang Lin slowly said, and as his words came out, his soul blood released the ninth song. The last song was the bloodline song, and when this song appeared, Wang Lin's eyes became silver. This silver revealed a sense of a supreme being. Behind Wang Lin, above the palace, a giant shadow appeared. This shadow had his hand behind his back and was looking at the sky in contempt. Its appearance was exactly the same as the ancient ancestor statue in the city. Ancient ancestor. Everyone in the square, in the palace, and all the ancient clan members in the city were shaken when they saw this shadow. They were filled with excitement and fear as buzzing echoed. We descendants greet the ancient ancestor. It was unknown who knelt first, but in a flash, the more than 100,000 people in the square and palace knelt down. The 9 songs appeared at once. This was something that only took place in legends and rumors, but at this moment, the 9 songs echoed in the ancient Tao palace. The hundreds of thousands of ancient clan members were filled with excitement and knelt down at the ancient ancestor shadow. The ancient Tao emperor's father, who had lost an arm, was shocked and also knelt down without any hesitation. His body trembled, but there was no excitement in his heart. Instead, there was endless horror and fear. The ancient ancestor's shadow was summoned by this person. He is able to play the 9 songs. This. Not even in my royal family has anyone been able to do this. Could this person? Could his bloodline be even more pure than my royal family's? Xian Luo stood there and looked at the ancient ancestor shadow with respect in his eyes. He didn't kneel but clasped his hands and bowed at the shadow. The ancient Tao emperor was dumbfounded and his eyes revealed disbelief. He seemed to have gone crazy and retreated until he was outside the palace. He looked up and saw the figure looking at the sky with its hands behind its back. When he saw the figure, the ancient Tao emperor trembled and his heart shook violently. Impossible, he shrieked, then he continued to retreat until he was on the square. I'm the son of the heavens, I'm the ancient Tao emperor, I'm the descendant of the ancient ancestor. The ancient Tao emperor's face was pale and his mind was filled with madness. He could not accept this reality, and he could not endure this kind of blow. He pointed at the shadow and let out a hysterical howl. Everyone at the square, aside from Xian Luo, was on their knees. Even the members of the other 2 clans were kneeling as well. Only the ancient Tao emperor was standing there, pointing at the ancient ancestor shadow like a madman, and he howled. Impossible, this is impossible, it's fake. This is an illusion he created, this can't be real. I'm your real descendant, I have the bloodline that is supposed to make you appear. I'm the ancient Tao emperor. All of you, stand up. Are you all blind? This is fake. Get up. The ancient Tao emperor continued to roar like crazy at the people around him. Their kneeling and worship seemed to bring him great fear and pressure, as if they were forcing him to accept that it was all real. But no matter how he roared, no one paid attention to him. They were all shocked by the ancient ancestor shadow, and none of them dared to get up. For the ancient clan, where the imperial power reigned supreme, the reason they felt such reverence for the imperial power was because of the creator of the imperial power. The ancient ancestor had created the 3 clans and was someone the ancient clan was completely devoted to from the bottom of their hearts. In their minds, the ancient ancestor was a supreme existence. Kings, immortal generals, get up for this emperor. Can you all not see that this is fake? This is fake, this is fake, this is fake. The ancient Tao emperor trembled as he rushed like crazy to one of the 18 kings and kicked him. The entire square was dead silent and only the ancient Tao emperor was making noise, but no one looked at him. Fake? It's all fake. The ancient Tao emperor's eyes were completely occupied by fear. His body trembled as he looked at the shadow in the sky, and he was still in hysteria. At this moment, Wang Lin, who was hugging Song Ji, walked out of the palace. He stood at the door of the palace and looked outside. He saw everyone kneeling, then he flew into the sky with Song Ji in hand. The moment he appeared, the giant ancient ancestor shadow seemed to overlap with him and gave off an indescribable pressure. This pressure caused the earth to tremble and the sky to change colors. All of the people kneeling below began to tremble. Wang Lin lowered his head. His silver eyes revealed ruthlessness and indifference as he looked at the ancient Tao emperor, who was still roaring. At the same time, the ancient ancestor shadow also lowered its head and looked at the ancient Tao emperor with the same silver eyes. The ancient Tao Emperor's roaring suddenly stopped when the shadow looked at him. He retreated while his teeth chattered, then he suddenly began to roar again. I'm your descendant. I didn't betray the ancient clan. You can't kill me. Wang Lin remained silent and raised his right hand. When he raised his right hand, the ancient ancestor shadow also raised its giant right hand. As Wang Lin pointed at the ancient Tao Emperor, the giant hand in the sky also pointed at the ancient Tao Emperor. Yi Mo. I will borrow the ancient ancestor's hand to grant you death. This was the first time Wang Lin had spoken since the ancient ancestor had appeared. After he spoke, a flash of silver light flew from the ancient ancestor's right hand and headed directly toward the ancient Tao Emperor. The ancient Tao Emperor's face turned ashen and he let out a cry for his life. No! Grand Empyrean Gu Dao, save me! Father, save me! Ancestor, save me! Imperial Teacher, save me! The ancient Tao Emperor roared in fear. As he cried for his ancestor, deep underground below the palace, there was a purple coffin in a secret chamber covered in runes. There was an old woman lying inside the coffin. She looked like a skeleton but also wore a royal robe. Her eyes suddenly opened, revealing fear and hesitation, but she didn't come out. On the surface, as the silver light closed in, purple light appeared around the ancient Tao Emperor. However, the moment the silver light touched the purple light immediately collapsed and the silver light pierced between the eyebrows of the ancient Tao Emperor. The ancient Tao Emperor's head exploded into a bloody mess and his body began to shatter. His entire body collapsed into countless pieces, and those pieces continued to collapse until nothing remained. Even his soul was turned to nothing by this silver light and was completely erased. An ancient emperor had been killed inside his palace and before the eyes of his people. The old man kneeling inside the palace trembled when the ancient Tao Emperor called for him. He struggled, but he didn't dare to try to save the ancient Tao Emperor. He also had no method of saving the ancient Tao Emperor from the shadow of the ancient ancestor. After doing this, Wang Lin's face turned slightly pale and the ancient ancestor shadow gradually dissipated. Before it completely disappeared, Wang Lin suddenly looked at the horizon, toward a deserted mountain outside the imperial city. The person responsible for taking Wan as soul was not the ancient Tao Emperor, but the figure covered in seven-colored light that Wang Lin had seen using the jade from the Great Soul sect. The mysterious ancient Tao's imperial teacher. It was the imperial teacher who had taken Li Muwen's soul fragment and given it to the ancient Tao Emperor. It was also him who had told the emperor to find someone who could fuse with the soul. The imperial teacher was behind all of this. The ancient Tao Emperor had merely been tricked to become part of this imperial teacher's plan. Wang Lin had already noticed this when he saw the things inside the jade, but he had suppressed it because at that time, he was already filled with rage. Now that the ancient Tao Emperor was dead, Wang Lin was going to see the mastermind behind it all. Whether it was as he had speculated, if it was that person. Wang Lin could not find the mysterious ancient Tao imperial teacher with his divine sense. However, when he summoned the ancient ancestor's shadow and killed the ancient Tao Emperor, the death aura from the ancient Tao Emperor was absorbed by the earth and then headed toward the deserted mountain in the distance. When the ancient ancestor's shadow was active, he also felt that there was a giant formation inside that hollow mountain. He could vaguely see a figure at the center of the formation. He didn't need to guess and was certain that this person was the cause of all of this, the mysterious ancient Tao imperial teacher. Seeing that the ancient ancestor shadow was about to disappear, there was a flash of silver light in Wang Lin's eyes and he raised his right hand to point at the deserted mountain. As he pointed, the extremely powerful ancient ancestor spell he had seen inside the Jade Prince Jidu had given him appeared in his mind. The ancient ancestor shadow also raised its right hand and pointed forward before disappearing. However, the spell was completed. Outside the imperial city that was floating in the sky, the space around the deserted mountain seemed to be separated from the world and then was suddenly squeezed. Thunderous rumbles echoed as a 10-colored light appeared around the mountain and began resisting Wang Lin's attack. Even the palace could vaguely hear the noise. As the mountain rumbled, a huge crack appeared on it and then it was split in half, revealing the giant formation inside. But the power of the ancient ancestor's finger was dissipated by the 10-colored light, and they both dissipated. Wang Lin's pupils shrank. He waved his sleeve and flew into the sky with Song Shi. As for the Celestial Emperor's soul and Celestial Ancestor's head, he had long put them away. However, just as he was about to leave, a roar came from below the palace. The sin of killing the Emperor is unforgivable. You must leave behind the Celestial Emperor's soul and the Celestial Ancestor's head. This video will end here.